Hello, my name is Barbara Rosen, and I'm glad you're able to join us today with this virtual service. Please visit our website at uutarpon.org to find our events and join us wherever we are. And thank you to all who helped with this service. Our chalice lighting words are by Eric Walker Wickstrom. We light this chalice for all who are here and all who are not, for all who have ever walked through our doors, for those who may yet find a spiritual home, and for those we can't even yet imagine. For each of us and for us all, may this flame burn warm and bright.
Our story for all ages today is a video coming from our Sunday school teacher, Jamie.
Hello everyone, I just want to start off and say hi to all my UU church friends and all my kiddos, and I miss you guys dearly. I was asked to read this book today. It's called Imagine. The author is Juan Felipe Herrera, and the illustrator is Lauren Castillo, and this is the front of the book. And in the back of the book it says, "Who might you be when you grow up?" Okay. First page. If I picked chamomile flowers as a child in the windy fields and whispered to their fuzzy faces, imagine. If I let tadpoles swim across my hands in the wavy creek, imagine. If I jumped up high into my papi's army truck and left our village of farm workers and waved adios to my amiguitos, imagine. So papi is another word for dad. Adios means goodbye, and amiguitos means friends. If I let the stars at night paint my blanket with milky light, with shapes of hungry birds while I slept outside, imagine what you could do. If I helped Mama feed the hopping chickens and catch the crazy turkey in the front yard of our new village, imagine. Mama is obviously a different word for mom in Spanish. If I walk through the evening forest at the top of a mountain with a silvery bucket to fetch water from the next town, imagine. My dogs are saying hi. If I moved to the winding city of tall, bending buildings and skipped to a new concrete school I had never seen, imagine. If I opened my classroom's wooden door, not knowing how to read or speak in English, imagine. If I practice spelling words in English by saying them in Spanish, like pencil for pencil, imagine. If I collected gooey and sticky ink pens because I loved how the ink flowed like tiny rivers across the soft paper, imagine. If I grabbed a handful of words I had never heard and sprinkled them over a paragraph so I could write a magnificent story, imagine. Oh my goodness. If I stood up in a school far away from where I lived and sang for the first time in front of class, imagine. If I started to write a poem on a skinny paper pad after school as I walked on the wide sidewalk and then finished it when I got home, imagine. If I picked up my honey-colored guitar and called out my poem every day until it turned into a song, imagine. If I gathered many words and many more songs with both of my hands and let them fly over my mesa and turn them into a book of poems, imagine. So mesa is desk or table. If I stood up wearing a robe in front of my familia and many more on the high steps of the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., and read out loud and signed my poetry book like this, Poet Laureate of the United States of America. Familia is Spanish for family. Imagine what you could do.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows, and what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lover, the dreamer, and me. La da da dee da da da. The lover, the dreamer, and me. Our words of inspiration today come from Kathy.
Thank you, Bonnie. The reading today is from an article called The Power of Imagination by E.B. Kevin. He starts with a quote. Imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress and giving birth to evolution. And that's by Albert Einstein. Imagination is the ability to form mental pictures or ideas in the mind. Everybody has the ability to imagine, but imagination becomes powerful when you turn it into manifestation. Every material thing that was created by humans was first imagined. Creation begins in the mind before it becomes physical. The inventor of the car imagined it before inventing it. The inventor of the internet imagined it before inventing it. The inventors of the airplane imagined it before inventing it. And the inventor of the mobile phone imagined it before inventing it. Imagination is the beginning of creation. You can create most of the things you can imagine. Mental pictures and ideas should be used to make an impact. They exist for a purpose. Nevertheless, people use their imaginations for different purposes. Some use it to invent, some to set up a business, some to solve issues, some to help others, and some to do evil. The mind has an eye that can see what doesn't exist in the world. What you see physically can be seen by others, but what you imagine cannot be seen by others but you, because it's in your mind. Using your imagination will help you achieve your goals and get what you desire. What you see is what you get. And now a moment of reflection.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. My special music today comes from the musical Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the song called Pure Imagination. Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of our creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to, do it. Want to change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. It is now time for our offering for the work and the welfare of this church. Please go to our website, uutarpon.org, and click on the donate button, or send your check to 57 Reed Street. The full address is right there on your screen. And thank you. Kathy Hopkins will now offer the message of the day about imagination.
Hello, I'm Kathy Hopkins, the church president of UU Tarpon Springs. I'm talking today about imagination because I think imagination will be the #1 key to the future success of this congregation. Imagination will be what enables our church to thrive. I want to tell you why I think so, but first I'm going to talk a little bit about where we are now, 4 months into COVID, and on the brink of entering a new era where we welcome a new minister. I spoke to our congregation in our very first virtual service on March 29th. At that time, we were facing the uninvited challenge of how to continue forward without meeting in person due to COVID and without a minister. I challenged the congregation to find a way to keep the flame going during the pandemic. We had been kicked out of our building before, and it was our deep commitment to our mission of keeping liberal religion alive in the community that kept us going strong. Now, 4 months into our new reality, the flame is still going. We can be very proud. Our congregation managed to pull together virtual Sunday services that are well attended. Committees came up with ways to fulfill their missions through Zoom. We launched multiple social justice projects to help those who were hurt most by the pandemic and address racial injustice. Realizing the elevated stress and strain, the church enlisted 2 local professionals, Reverend Jim McComber to help with Sunday services, and Reverend Ellie Wolf-Mulick for pastoral care during these times of elevated need. Perhaps the biggest accomplishment was finding a new minister. As of August 1st, the Reverend Christina Spouty is now officially on board as our new minister. She'll begin to transition into this role this month, working remotely from Pennsylvania, and then relocate to the Tarpon Springs area in September. This is indeed a cause for celebration. Not only did we find someone during this year when fewer ministers were available due to the pandemic, but we found an exceptionally talented woman who is an ideal match for the priorities of this congregation identified in our cottage meetings. To summarize, the 3 highest priority areas of focus for the new minister are the Sunday service experience, high quality sermons, and overall imparting a sense of welcoming, warmth, and an invitation to belong. Strengthening the church, grow our membership to be more diverse and younger, strengthen bonds as we join together to fulfill the mission of spiritual growth, social justice, and the arts. And pastoral care, meeting needs of church members with empathy, compassion, and caring. Our congregation's pretty solid on what we want, and Reverend Christina clearly has this toolbox of skills to match up nicely with our priorities. The big question now, and the biggest factor in our success going forward, will be to figure out how do we do these things during a pandemic. And that pandemic is not going to end anytime soon. So this is where imagination comes into play. I've been doing a lot of research lately to find out what other churches are doing and find guidance on how to prepare for what lies ahead. What I found is it's all over the board. The need to change sprang up so dramatically and so fast that each church scrambled to come up with a solution. The beautiful thing is there's so much variety out there. It's like looking over a field of wildflowers with a few thorns and thistles here and there. It's too soon to know what works best. There are no best practices, and there's certainly no roadmap for what lies ahead. I started following a man named Peter Bowden, who has a large following on social media. He has over 20 years of experience in TV production, has consulted with churches on small group ministry and online ministry for years, and he's married to a UU minister. I figured if anyone has the answers, this guy does. With his TV production business at a halt right now, he's focusing his attention on helping churches navigate these times. He started a video ministry academy, and I signed up for it. Well, I was hoping to get very specific instructions on how to navigate these times. What I've learned is even Peter doesn't have all the answers. There are certain studies underway, the current studies underway, to see what works best as churches start to reopen that will shed some light. One thing, though, that Peter did emphasize with certainty is do not plan to go back to the way you did things before. That will not be the answer, he said. He went on to explain that a recent survey asked people which they preferred, to view a formal worship service filmed in a sanctuary, or a Zoom service where elements are recorded in the homes of each of the presenters. Overwhelmingly, the favored choice was the Zoom service because of the intimacy. People felt more connected. When we do reopen, it will be to a mixed audience. Some people will be in person and some will remain at home. Whatever we do in the future, we'll need to appeal to an online audience as well as in-person attendees. And that requirement will continue well beyond the pandemic. Churches simply must enter into the digital world in order to be able to survive and thrive in the future. I came to realize we're in totally uncharted territory here. Nobody has the answers. Peter Bowden has all the necessary skills. He understands the direction things are going, and he stepped up to lead us through a time of discovery. By each of us in the Academy sharing our experiences with each other, we're contributing to that discovery. This is an uncomfortable time. We're having to let go of normal and step into a world of wonder. There is no knowing what the future will hold. As Einstein indicated in the quote I read earlier, knowledge isn't everything. In his words, imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress and giving birth to evolution. Einstein also said, your imagination is your preview of life's coming attractions. How does all of this translate to each of us in our congregation? I can think of 5 ways. First, if you've been holding back until things return to the way they used to be, it's time to rethink. This will last longer than we ever thought, and things won't ever go back to the way they were. Waiting it out isn't really a choice. You'll simply miss too much for too long. Imagine yourself attending a virtual coffee hour, having genuine conversations with friends you haven't seen for months, or meeting someone new and striking up a conversation about what being a UU means to you. These things are possible, it's just not quite the way you're used to doing it. Second, think through what aspects of congregational life are the most meaningful to you and why, and seek alternative ways to experience those things. We've got several small groups started, and we're experimenting with new ideas all the time. Imagine yourself being part of this experiment to discover new ways of doing church. Look for what's working and provide feedback on what's not. Third, if you've been resisting all this online stuff because you're uncomfortable with the technology, ask for help for whatever's standing in your way. Whether it's a lack of the right equipment or a lack of know-how, you're not alone. Congregants have been helping each other, and they celebrate success of finally connecting. As with anything new, it becomes easier over time and starts to feel more natural. Imagine yourself overcoming the hurdles of getting started and being able to more fully enjoy being part of this community. Fourth, help us look to the future. We've done a pretty good job of caring for each other, but how do we grow membership when we don't even get to meet people in person? Help us imagine the possibilities. And lastly, support our new minister as she gets to know us and helps us find a path forward. She, like everyone else, doesn't know all the answers, but she has a wonderful toolbox of skills to contribute to our shared learning and discovery. Imagine participating in the journey. I'll end with a meaningful quote about imagination by George Bernard Shaw. Imagination is the beginning of creation. You imagine what you desire, you will what you imagine, and at last, you create what you will. I'll read that again. Imagination is the beginning of creation. You imagine what you desire. You will what you imagine. And at last, you create what you will. What do we desire for the future of liberal religion in Tarpon Springs? Through the sinkhole experience, we fortified our building for the next 100 years. We now have the opportunity to reshape the vision of this congregation for the future that lies ahead. Imagine.
And our final hymn is Soon the Day Will Arrive. Soon the day will arrive when we will be together, and no longer will we live in fear. And the children will smile without wondering whether on that day thunder clouds will appear. Wait and see what a world it can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Some have dreamed, some have died to make a bright tomorrow, and our vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed with new hope, not in sorrow, and a promise to make a new start. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me. Our service is winding down now, and Barbara will give us closing words, and then we will extinguish our chalice.
Our closing words today are by Darcy Roque. There's too much hardship in this world to not find joy every day. There's too much injustice in this world to not right the balance every day. There's too much pain in this world not to heal every day. Each of us ministers to a weary world. Let us go forth now and do that which calls us to make the world more loving, more compassionate, and more filled with the grace of divine presence every day.